Hi everyone, and welcome to a new English learning story. Today's story is not just about learning English. It's about feeling inspired. We will follow the life of a man who started with nothing and became one of the most powerful voices in history. His name was Ronald Reagan. He was not born rich. He was not born famous. But he believed in dreams, hard work, and kindness. And that changed everything. In this story, you'll learn simple English, feel deep emotions, and discover how one person can make a big difference. Let's begin this beautiful journey together. The story of Ronald Reagan. In the small town of Tampico, Illinois, a boy named Ronald Wilson Reagan was born on February 6, 1911, in an apartment above a bank. His father, Jack Reagan, was a struggling shoe salesman of Irish descent, known for his charm, storytelling, and bouts with alcohol. His mother, Nellie, a devout Christian, instilled in her sons the values of kindness, optimism, and perseverance. Growing up during the Great Depression, young Ronald moved frequently with his family. The Reagans were poor, not desperate, but modest in every sense. Ronald shoveled snow, washed dishes, and even worked as a lifeguard. He reportedly saved over 70 lives during his summers on the Rock River, a metaphor for the protective, heroic identity that would follow him. But Reagan was also a dreamer. He devoured books, especially stories of heroes, and found his greatest joy in the radio shows and movies of the time. Those early years planted two seeds: a deep belief in the American dream and a burning desire to be heard. After graduating from Eureka College in 1932 with a degree in economics and sociology, Reagan became a sports announcer. With only a photograph and imagination, he narrated Chicago Cubs games for radio in Des Moines. His voice, strong, confident, and full of charisma, carried farther than his modest beginnings ever could. In 1937, while covering the Cubs' spring training in California, Reagan took a screen test for Warner Brothers. The studio signed him for $200 a week. Just like that, the boy from Illinois became a Hollywood actor. For 2 decades, he appeared in over 50 films. One of his most famous roles came in 1940's Knute Rockne, All-American, where he played George Gipp, the dying football star who famously said, "Win one for the Gipper." But as Hollywood evolved and Reagan aged, his leading man roles declined. At the same time, his political beliefs were shifting. Once a Democrat who admired Franklin Roosevelt, Reagan became disillusioned by big government and increasingly identified with conservatism. By the 1950s, Reagan transitioned to television and became the host of General Electric Theater. But more importantly, GE sent him across America to speak at factories, campuses, and local communities. It was there that Ronald Reagan sharpened his political voice. His speeches weren't just inspiring. They were revolutionary for the American middle class, advocating for free enterprise, limited government, and individual liberty. In 1964, he delivered a televised speech for Republican presidential candidate Barry Goldwater titled, "A Time for Choosing." The speech electrified conservatives. Reagan didn't just speak. He connected, convinced, and inspired. The Republican Party took notice. 2 years later, Ronald Reagan ran for governor of California and won. Twice, he reduced government programs, battled student protests, and positioned himself as a leader who believed in order, responsibility, and hope. But Reagan had bigger dreams. Not to manage a state, but to lead a nation. Reagan sought the presidency in 1976, challenging incumbent President Gerald Ford in a bitter Republican primary. He lost, but barely. The fire he lit in conservative America wouldn't go out. By 1980, with inflation soaring, hostages held in Iran, and Jimmy Carter's presidency weakened, Reagan tried again. This time, he ran on a bold promise. "Let's make America great again." Many dismissed him as too old, too simplistic, too optimistic. But Reagan won in a landslide. At 69, he became the oldest person ever elected president at that time. The Hollywood actor had now become Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America. The journey from lifeguard to leader of the free world was complete. Ronald Reagan's presidency was a dramatic mix of inspiration, controversy, and transformation. On March 30th, 1981, just 69 days into his term, Reagan was shot in an assassination attempt. Bleeding and barely conscious, he famously told his wife, "Honey, I forgot to duck," and joked to surgeons, "I hope you're all Republicans." His humor and courage won over the nation. Reagan's economic policy, Reaganomics, cut taxes, reduced regulations, and aimed to ignite growth through supply-side economics. Critics warned of debt and inequality, but the economy boomed in the mid-1980s. Internationally, Reagan escalated the Cold War, calling the Soviet Union the evil empire. Yet by his second term, he shifted to diplomacy. In 1987, he stood at the Brandenburg Gate and declared, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Behind the scenes, he worked closely with Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. Their meetings led to nuclear arms reduction and helped bring the Cold War to a peaceful end. It was a triumph of conviction and courage. Reagan left office in 1989 with high approval ratings. The Berlin Wall would fall soon after, and Reagan's role in ending the Cold War earned him international admiration. But just 5 years later, in 1994, he wrote a handwritten letter to the American people. In it, he revealed that he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. "As the years go by," he wrote, "I know that the memory of who I am will begin to fade. I now begin the journey that will lead me into the sunset of my life." It was a heartbreaking moment for a man who had always been the picture of optimism. For a decade, he faded from public life, cared for lovingly by his wife, Nancy. He died on June 5, 2004. America mourned not just a former president, but a man who made them believe in themselves again. Ronald Reagan's life is more than a story of success. It is a testament to the power of belief. He believed in America, in capitalism, in liberty, and most importantly, in the idea that anyone, even a poor boy from Illinois, could become something greater. To some, he was a mythmaker, to others a unifier. But no one doubted that he changed history. He didn't just defeat communism. He uplifted the soul of a wounded nation. He didn't just tell stories. He became one. If you enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, and share.